Welcome to the Strong as Fuck podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Santucci, and join us for some strong conversations. Back with another episode of the Strong as Fuck podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Santucci. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, do all those things so we start to build this channel a little bit more. But today, I have a very special guest who is a friend of mine who comes to the gym. He trains with another trainer. I don't know why he trains with this guy. I mean, it's very strange, the relationship between the two of them. Not on any part of his, more so on the gentleman who trains him. But Mark is here today, and he's going to explain to us about what it's like to start a online business, a fitness business, and transition from the entertainment world into the fitness world, which seems to be something that's become more common than before. Right? You got everybody from, Chris Hemsworth doing it and Mark Wahlberg. Everybody's like, has this following in the entertainment space, and they're moving over to the fitness space. And we want to kind of dive into that now. How'd that happen? You were working in the entertainment world, which most people feel like they want to work in, right? You had a great job. You worked at CAA. You worked at William Morris. Like most people dream of having that job. Yeah. And then you transition into the fitness space, which, when you're in it and you love it, it's one thing, but there's really not a lot of money in it.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of money in the fitness space. I mean, first and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here, and I do love your gym, and I love your brand, and I do love the gentleman who's been training me for a couple of years at your gym. Shout out to Rufat Sempino. I started my career in entertainment, sort of like hardcore entertainment, cutting my teeth in the agency business.
Which is very hard.
Which is hard. You know, I went to...
they start you at the fucking bottom.
Well, right? They start you in the mailroom, or at least they used to, and that's changed a little bit. But the old school, Hollywood mailroom's a thing. David Geffen, Barry Diller, all these entertainment greats started in the William Morris mailroom.
Which, don't you think there's something to that? Like, I appreciate, or I think people appreciate when they start at the bottom. Like when I first started in training, it's like I started cleaning up weights and handing out towels and shit like that. It teaches you to respect everyone at every level.
It definitely teaches, a sense of respect sort of in the inherent hierarchy of work. But I think it also teaches you from the ground up what's going on.
Exactly.
And it helps you learn not only who you are and what you want to do, but who are the players that you want to align yourself with, and how do you want to be, and what do you want to actually accomplish in that world. But when I, graduated from college, I went to a small school in upstate New York. I grew up outside of Syracuse, and my parents wanted me to be, a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, go through that list, right? And
we come from that same generation where that was like the goal, right?
Well, and I mean, listen, I think we're the same age, right? Yeah. We're technically millennials. I think the real term is geriatric millennial. I think you're like a little more geriatric than I am on the millennial front.
Well, I got a lot more gray hair.
But my parents were like, okay, take the LSAT, do this, do that. And I said, I want to work in entertainment. I want to go into the agency world. And this is pre-Entourage, right? This is pre-Ari Gold being like a household name.
Yeah.
And I went in and I went through a series of interviews, like some of the most intense interviews of my life to get this, basically minimum wage mailroom job. And when I got it, I was like, wait, well, now I need some nice suits, right? Like I have to look the part. My parents brought me to buy these suits at Lord & Taylor. I don't know how nice they were, but it was a great experience because I got to learn the TV business, the music business, the commercial business, the motion picture business, the literary and books business, all by sorting and delivering mail. But in the middle of it all, interacting with these agents who were these incredible advocates for their clients, creating cultural impact, creating huge businesses along the way. And that's where I started. So I was at William Morris through their merger with Endeavor. So that's WME for all the sports fans out there and entertainment fans who know WME, great company. And then after that, I went to another competing agency called CAA, another phenomenal company across sports and media. So I feel so blessed to have been able to work and learn under those two institutions.
Which I think you seem like the type that appreciated the fact that, like, yes, this job was hard. I'm sure you had some bosses who yelled at you and, kind of made you feel like shit. And I feel like that's a little lost nowadays. Like now everybody gets so offended if their boss, it's like, don't you kind of feel like I'm glad I went through that shit period because it makes.
I mean, I'm glad I went through. Well, we'll call it like the corporate haze, but it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It wasn't, it wasn't what you might see on TV or read in a book. It wasn't disrespectful. No one's throwing a stapler at your head. But but the demand is, you are there to work and do the job and perform, but also learn and show that you are learning and showing that you are additive and showing that you are part of that internal corporate culture and that you can also be someone that the clients for the agents that you're working with or helping to service that they can rely on too. So it really is a two-way street in that regard. But I will a note on culture, you've built such an incredible, culture inside of the Strength Club and inside of Strong New York. These two companies that I worked for prior to Obey both had different and amazing, amazing corporate cultures. I learned from that. My business partner now, Ashley Mills, also an agent from CA, that's where we met. We brought a lot of those learnings into our internal culture at Obey, making sure that we were creating an environment that fostered, productivity, creativity, a bias towards action, respect, professionalism, the list goes on. And I think you can get that done without being an insane person, your colleagues, and expecting the best from each other.
I absolutely agree. I think there's things that I've learned throughout, even with your parents, like you see how your parents kind of brought you up and the things they did and the choices they made. And then you see how different companies you worked for, the choices they made, the things that your bosses did. But I definitely do appreciate, and even like playing sports with coaches and stuff, I definitely appreciate when somebody's like, hey, we're in this together. We need to get this done. Like, I don't think my coaches ever yelled at me or aggressive with me because they didn't care. My parents were the same way. My dad was definitely old school Italian, cop from New Jersey, so that's how I grew up. Same thing when I got to in other jobs. I think we all are going towards the same way. Are there dick bosses out there? Absolutely.
Sure.
There's shitty bosses everywhere. But I think there's definitely something to be said about somebody who's like, hey, we're in this together. If I succeed, you succeed.
Totally.
And that's kind of how I treat my business. It's like, I want to give you more. You got to help me give you more or give me reason to give you more.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you, either way, you have to have a thick skin. I don't care if you are just starting off in business or, you're 20 years into a career, you've got some boss somewhere. If you run the company, you've got an investor. Your customer's your boss in many ways. Right? You've got to have a thick skin and you can't let that, you can't wilt under pressure, under constructive criticism. But two things that I require in anyone that I work with and I require to be upheld to that same standard is, especially at Obey, we really believe in a bias towards action, AKA we're doing something, let's do it, get it done. You said you were going to get it done. Get it done. And then assuming the best in your colleagues, right? So, throughout back to the team mentality, right? People screw up, people do this, people do that. Assume the best. Assume that if somebody didn't get something done the way you wanted them to, or maybe something was misinterpreted, assume that they had best intentions at heart. Don't immediately go to the reverse of that. I don't like that at all.
How many employees do you have?
So right now we have about 40 employees.
So you got a big team.
Yeah, we have a good team. We have a really good team, strong team.
So when someone isn't completing tasks, and I think there's a lot of business owners out there who will appreciate hearing your answer on this. When someone's not completing tasks and they're falling behind, because I deal with this all the time, and I love my team. I want them to be excited about things. I take them out to dinner all the time. When there's trips, I'm like, everybody come, let's all go do this together. But sometimes when they're like not doing the things you need them to do, how do you approach that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a two-way street too, right? We're all human. There's always something that someone is procrastinating on, or, that piece of paper keeps going to the bottom of the list of things to do. We've all done it. I did it this morning on something, right? It's like you end up doing maybe the easier thing first. And there's that old adage, what is it called? Swallow the frog. Have you heard that? It's like, take the hardest task of the day, swallow it, eat it, go, get that done first. To err is human. We don't always do that. I don't know. I think it depends on the situation, but I think that having a system in place that really does require accountability, and there's many ways to do that, whether it is, keeping an Excel sort of spreadsheet of what needs to be done to, larger infrastructure like Confluence and Slack that help people, stay accountable for what they're doing, Trello boards, et cetera. But the point is, if somebody says they're going to do it and they do it, great, keep it moving. If somebody says they're going to do it and they don't do it, time to have a conversation. If somebody says they're going to do it and they don't do it and they don't do it and they don't do it and they're always not doing it, they might be fun to take out to dinner and they might be fun to work out with, but guess what? It might not be a cultural fit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do believe in strikes.
Yeah, and I say the same thing, but everybody's always like, oh, you got to get rid of them, you got to fire them. I'm like, I can't just fire them.
Well, you can't, and unless it's egregious, right?
Yeah.
You can and shouldn't just fire anyone. There needs to be a system in place that lets people know what the standards are and what the expectations were, from management, from the boss, quote unquote, what needed to be done, and if those weren't met, and if they are not met over and over again, and you've given constructive criticism along the way about what those benchmarks are, and it's performance related. Yeah, I mean that's a conversation. If somebody does something that is off the rails and not related to work and just not appropriate, that's a very different conversation around termination. But I think every scenario is different, and I think at the end of the day, what you're trying to say and what I'm also trying to say is, when you hire someone, you hire with the best expectations in mind, and you want it to work out.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to be a successful team together.
Well, you don't want to keep bringing people in and like retraining them and teaching them your thing.
The switching costs are it's a slowdown. But again, like on a human level, you hired someone because you saw something in them, and they came to you because they saw something in you or your company, your service. You want it to work out. That's your goal.
I think when we were younger, we came from a generation of like, the workplace was very different, right? It was not as kind of fun, kind of easygoing.
Yeah.
It was all very strict. And when I used to think of corporate America or a corporate job, I'm just like, oh, fuck, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's miserable. But I feel like you got a big team. You guys harbor a really good culture. Was that you seeing like what you liked and what you didn't like, and then kind of just creating your own thing?
Yeah, I think when you create any culture internally at a company, part of it is this sort of ideal end goal of how you want things to be and feel, and you want people to be happy with what they're doing with their career, and that they're contributing to something great based on their skill sets, but also for someone else and with someone else. So that's on one hand, but also if you've had previous work experience, you're probably Frankensteining the things that you liked and maybe excluding the things that you didn't like what's worked in other cultures. I mean, to your point around fun, we have fun, and I would say in the more hard-nosed suit and tie world of my early agency years, sort of in the early 2000s and through the aughts of the 2000s, we had fun too. I mean, and sometimes too much fun probably, but there was an expectation around getting the work done no matter what. So if it was 2006 and you were out at Bungalow 8 until 4 a.m. on a Tuesday, not me. I think other people, not me, very much me. But the expectation was that you were in your seat at 8:30.
Yeah.
And not one thing slipped through the cracks. And so I think you can have that balance, and that's kind of part of the fun of being young and learning a career, especially in a big city.
Yeah. No, I took all the girls and Marty out to, so my staff out to the Hamptons. We did this event. Afterwards, everybody wanted to go out and have a good time. I go, listen, go out, get fucked up, do whatever the hell you want. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Everybody better be here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, because I'm not hauling all this shit around by myself. So go out and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want to be 25, 30 years old and my boss be like, no, everybody's got to go to bed now. It's like, what the fuck kind of culture is that?
You don't want that, but you also, if you do go out, great, that's awesome. But to your point, you also don't want to be the one who's dragging the next day. That's a problem. I mean, that's along the lines of, everybody's mom's, advice around the company holiday party, right? Don't be the one that there's a story about the next day.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. And if somebody can't do that, then they shouldn't, right? If somebody can't go out and have a responsible time based on the environment, based on alcohol, whatever it may be, then they need to make the right moves to the best of their ability to not put themselves in that situation so that they can move forward in life too.
One of the things that I ask a lot of my staff, or I say to them, I'm like, how could I make you better? Because I know I operate. If someone's taking really good care of me, I'm like, I don't want this to end. If I'm working with a brand or I'm working with somebody or a team of people where they're taking really good care of me, I'm like, all right, how do I keep this going? Like, what do you need from me so that I could keep this going? And I try to do that with my staff. I say, all right, how could I make you perform better? How could I get you to show up here with a smile on your face every day, excited to work here, want to do as much as you can for the client, right? As well as for me. Like, what do I do? So I try to give them like every possible perk.
But that's great leadership.
Yeah.
Christy's got a big smile on her face every day.
Yeah.
That dog, not so much. Shout out to Lola.
Well, that's because Christy tortures the dog. She doesn't feed her on some days. So now, what was that transition like? So you're clearly a successful guy. You were doing really well in the entertainment industry.
The transition from entertainment into fitness and wellness was really interesting.
Yeah.
And
you started it before the pandemic.
Yeah, so we started Obey in 2018, but we really started in, early 2017. So my business partner, work wife, BFF, Ashley Mills, and I, we were like, husband and wife at CAA. We worked on clients together.
Were you working here in LA?
We were both in New York.
Okay.
We were in LA with each other a lot, but we basically, we had a great, shorthand at work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our tennis game at work was off the charts, whether it was working on clients together, taking meetings together, you name it. We knew we wanted to keep working with each other. We also knew we wanted to do something else. We were at the ground floor of helping to build Food Network and HGTV, Bravo, these great lifestyle networks, which, a lot of that's changed over time as we look at, how cord cutting and streaming has changed things. But lifestyle meaning edutainment, right? Like you are watching something, you are enjoying it. You love the person who's teaching you how to make that thing, grill that thing, decorate that house. But by the same token, you're learning something. And that's really awesome. We wanted to apply that to fitness. Now, this is the same time that the New York City, LA, Hamptons, Miami boutique fitness movement was off the charts, right? Celebrity
Classes
instructor
everywhere.
galore,
Yeah.
$40 a class, can't get a spot, book the slot on a Monday, you're already shut out, go to class, and it's every celebrity, every titan of industry, you name it. That's what we were seeing.
Could I ask,
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Well, I don't know. So let's talk about that. So that moment, that vibe, that notion of someone who can helm a class, helm a group of people, have them do something hard, have them learn something, change their life in some way that day, change their outlook in some way that day, their health in some way that day. That's so powerful. So we wanted to scale that, but also we wanted to do that sort of with the tool chest that we had learned over the years from other lifestyle related programming, Food Network, Bravo, HGTV, the list goes on. And we wanted to do it at scale. So if that person is, pontificating for a group of wealthy people in Tribeca for $40, $60 a class, okay, great. But what about everybody else? I grew up in Syracuse. My business partner grew up in Dayton, Ohio. What about everybody else who wants in on that? So that's really what we wanted to democratize and disseminate through Obey. And I feel like we've done that really, really, really well. A lot of that comes down to incredible talent, incredible brand, incredible community, incredible programming, and sort of the level that we hold ourselves to with our programming. But to your point around that instructor thing, yeah, I do think some of it's changed a little bit with the pandemic because there's been this, sort of hybridization across where people are showing up to work out. So whether you're working out with us at home on a Monday and then going to your favorite yoga class in person on a Tuesday and going for a walk with friends on a Wednesday, you're not showing up for that exact class, that one person like you were every day in New York, whatever that may be. I also think newness mattered then. Like that was like a new concept, at least for us at that time, in the mid-teens.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a thing. I mean, when I started teaching classes back in the city in 2014, 2015, it was insane. Like I'd have 8 classes a day booked out, 30 to 40 people. It was insane. But how do you think, I think there were 2 effects on celebrity, right? And celebrity as a whole, and you'd be a great person to ask this to, with social media and also with the pandemic.
Yeah.
How do you think those 2 things have affected celebrity as a whole?
Oh, I mean, that's a long one. Social media and the pandemic. Listen, things change. So back to how we started this conversation about the legacy linear cable business, Food Network, HGTV, Bravo, Discovery, et cetera. That's changed a lot in the past 10 years, like in a pretty major way. That'll never be the same. What we were talking about as far as, the boom of having to book your bike, so to speak, at 12 o'clock on a Monday in 2014. And if you're 3 seconds late, you've missed it. I think that's changed a little bit. Things change, but of course, in the fitness business specifically, the pandemic pulled everything forward. People who were working out exclusively in person and who were never a quote at-home workout person. And I don't even think of digital fitness as at home. It's just fitness where you are, where you want to be, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, your time, your dime. That's really what digital fitness is, right? But in that scenario, you had people who were a never digital user now saying, you know what, I can move the coffee table in my apartment and work out here. I'm good. Or I can do little 10-minute bursts throughout the day in between my Zooms. I'm good. I can go for a walk and get the number of steps I want. I'm good. They didn't need to go full throttle at one class 5 days in a row per week. So you have a little bit of that happening. That's number one. Number two, I think with the pandemic plus social media and that proliferation, you also see that moment in time when everyone was going live. Remember that March 2020 through December 2020, it's like, I'm going live. I'm now teaching you how to cook. I'm now teaching you how to do Pilates, mat exercise for 10 minutes. That's great too, but suddenly everyone was a star in their own right, in their own category. That's very cool. A lot of people built businesses during that time that are continuing to flourish. Like, I love all that. But the point is things became a little diluted. So you didn't just need to go to that one studio in Tribeca or that one studio in Malibu for something. You didn't just need to watch that one show on that one network. It's what you wanted when you wanted. It's niche. You had talent, you had modalities, you had entertainment at your fingertips for exactly the duration you wanted, when you wanted, how you wanted. That part's not changing. So I think what it does is it actually makes it a little bit harder in many ways for people to stand out, but it also gives a larger playing field for people all over the country and the world to find a way to stand out, spread a message, show their gifts, build a business, build a following in a way that they wouldn't have been able to pre-social, and we'll call it pre-pandemic, eyes glued to whatever that streaming form of content is.
You clearly have an eye for talent. You worked in that industry. So. And what we're seeing now is there are people on social media, YouTube performers, whatever you want to call them, social media people who kind of demand and command an audience more so than big celebrities, right? Like, for instance, when I was at the Arnold, people are going nuts because Arnold Schwarzenegger's there. But then there's these other bodybuilders that people are obsessed with. Like, they almost like go nuts over these people. What do you think that is in that person? Is it vulnerability? Is it like their willingness to share and interact with people? Like, what do you think it is that these now new, they're just people sharing their lives, command more of an audience than like a celebrity?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there'll always be room and a place for, and a big business around what we'll call traditional celebrities, be it your, movie stars, musicians, et cetera. But social, YouTube, streaming in general has definitely been a way for other people to reach that business and to create new businesses. To answer your question, I think it's a sense of true authenticity and passion. If somebody jumps out of the camera, out of the screen and into your living room, whether it's with us at Obey or whether it's somebody doing a TikTok dance, whether it's somebody telling you, that they're demure and mindful and suddenly they're the biggest star on the planet, they're doing something that's authentic and rooted in passion. And that takes hold. There's no phony baloney there. And I think that's the same goes for actors, the same goes for musicians. If you are authentic about what you do it with passion, you do it well. I'm not trying to say that going on and doing a comedy act about demure and mindful is the same as the work that would go into, becoming a pianist. But the point is you will find an audience. You'll find an audience that cares about what you do and how you do it. And then you've got to keep them. That's a whole separate bag of tricks.
I think that's so true. I've always felt that there's so many people on social media who want to be vulnerable, want to show you their whole lives. Like, I would find that so fucking annoying to do all the time. And I'm almost jealous of people that could do that, like always pull out their phone and share whatever they're doing at that moment. But then you look at somebody, like a great example, in my opinion, is Eminem, right? Like, he showed you this other side. He kind of said a lot of shit that was very taboo, and he kind of emptied his soul out at the expense of himself, right? He's like, all right, this could go either way. And I think that what you said, that sense of like real passion and wanting to share yourself and
Yeah.
like your ideas with people, I think that goes a long way with people. And you hear it in music.
Totally.
You see it on camera when people are doing certain things. Yeah.
But the playbook is different for everyone. I think, if someone like, and again, back to timing, right? One of the themes so far in our conversation today has been around these like tranches of time. And as things change and as things evolve, so does the way people consume and the way they pay attention. But the commonality is people will always consume content, media, artistry, creativity, created by others who are authentic and passionate, but each playbook is different. So if Eminem emptied out and then went into recluse mode, well, great. He will still be an icon, forever. Somebody who's, quote, sharing their day, as you put it, but is reaching millions and millions of people, icon forever? Maybe, yes, no, I don't know. That'll be for society to determine, but they're still emptying out in a different way. And I'm sure many of them would tell you that it's really stressful, right? It's really stressful for someone who's built a business and a sort of social persona based on telling you what they're doing all day, every day, and making sure they keep it interesting. They can't forget to post. They kind of have to let it all hang out. And that's stressful too.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to compare Eminem to someone who's like, this is my get ready with me routine, but we are talking about reaching people en masse and monetizing it and doing it with a sense of authenticity and passion.
What do you think the future of, because you're just as embedded in as I am, what do you think the future of the online fitness game is?
Yeah. It's fascinating. So first and foremost, back to common themes. This is, we did not invent the notion of working out by way of video content or audio content by way of a screen in your own home, right?
Been around since
my mom was working out with Richard Simmons in the 80s, rest in peace. My grandfather had these like Jack LaLanne workout pamphlets in his tool shed at his house. People have been doing this for a very long time. We and many others helped to change that game, adapt the game based on, where the puck was going. And I'm really proud of that. I think we also did it in a way that was super authentic, super creative. And we continue to hold ourselves to that every single day, evolving in different ways every single day. Where's it going? Listen, a lot of players emerged in the category over the past 4 years. A lot have already disappeared. I think where it's going is a continued focus on reaching customers in ways that they want to be reached. And a lot of that includes investing in tech. A lot of that includes investing in tech and AI so that you can actually help personalize that journey even more. One of the things that we've been talking about throughout is the fact that, it really is on your own time, in your own way, on your own dime. You can't do that if you're not focused on a technical infrastructure and a data infrastructure that makes sure you are delivering the right thing to the right person at the right time. There's a recent research survey that came out that said that by 2030, the quote app fitness business alone, so no equipment, no apparel, just apps, will reach over $4 billion in subscription revenue and market value. You hold that up to a Disney market cap or something, and that's peanuts. But in 2023 it was around 1.5 billion, right? So for every hater out there who's read an article or said digital fitness is dead or quote I don't think that's not true. What happened during the pandemic was the pendulum swang in one direction so quickly and so sharply, and now it's evening out a little bit. But the way that it's evening out is it's actually allowed people to pick and choose what they want to do. Back to what I said earlier, a little in person, a little digital, maybe all in person, all digital, but it is a bit of a buffet, and it's amazing to see how people are consuming at that buffet.
I still think a lot of people kind of judge it on the idea that like you only do this one thing, right? It's like saying you're only going to go to this one restaurant that you love every night of the week. And it doesn't work like that. I think people are working out more than ever before. And you don't want to do the same thing every day. I have 4 different gym memberships. I go to jiu-jitsu. I like to go boxing every once in a while. I go to Gym U. I use my own gym, right? Like I want the variety because it keeps it interesting for me. And it's something that I do every day. So I want that variety. And I think more people are getting into that where it's like, I don't feel like going outside today. I'm going to go use my app. I don't feel like going to do yoga today. I'm going to go lift. And I think there's more people spending more on fitness or whatever you want to call it, that what I like to consider hygiene. I always tell people like, wipe your ass, brush your teeth, make sure you work out. Those are the 3 things I think everybody should be doing.
Thank you for that. It's really good advice, Ken.
Right? You're going to save that.
Forgot the first part. No, I agree. Listen, fitness as a business is not fickle. I think modalities are.
Yeah.
I think that if somebody were to take, I'll pick on trampolines for a minute. If you were to take a jump class 5 days a week, you may get sick of it after a month. You just might, just a hunch. If somebody is strength training and they're doing the exact same, set of squats, same reps, same cadence, same weight for a month, you're gonna get sick of it. Variety matters, back to your food analogy. It's the spice of life. So we've always wanted people to get fit, get healthy, not bored. How do you do that? Variety. How do you do that? Embracing variety, keeping it interesting, and also understanding that people are gonna do other things too. We want our members to do other things. We have the most incredible engagement that I have seen in this category. Frankly, our engagement has not changed much since the height of the pandemic as far as number of classes being taken per user per month. People love our content. We're so proud of that because it is such a premium variety filled, incredible talent concoction of an asset. But at the end of the day, you've got to switch it up.
Yeah.
If you don't switch it up, you are going to get bored. So for us, we want you to take 10 minutes of yoga one day. We want you to take a 28-minute strength class the next. Why don't you take a little bit of boxing the next day? Like, let's keep it moving. Find what you like, weed out what you don't like, but mix it up.
Yeah. No, I mean, part of the initiative with Strong New York was why I invite all these other gyms and these brands is because I want my people to be like, hey, you don't have to come to me every day. I don't even want you to come to me every day. I want you to switch it up. I want you to go do dance class, go do yoga, go try out another gym. In your opinion, because you probably have access to a lot of gyms in the city, why, aside from Rufat bringing you there, like, what do you like about a smaller boutique gym like mine versus going to, let's say, an Equinox or Lifetime?
That's a great question. And I am, I think, a prime example of, where I see the puck going from a consumer behavior perspective. I work out with Obey 2 to 3 times a week. I see Rufat 2 to 3 times a week, and maybe I'll hit another gym. I don't mind a big gym. It's easy to get lost in a big gym. It's easy to feel like you are on your own, so to speak. And I think that, if you know what you are doing, whatever that means, maybe you don't always feel that way at a larger gym. I think most people want to feel like they're part of something. Most people want to be part of a community. I think there's something extra potent and special about a fitness community, about people that you're doing hard things with, that you're seeing eye to eye sort of in this sweaty, red-faced, panting, can't catch your breath state. It's very different from seeing someone at a party, at a bar, in the office, the list goes on. It's very special. I think your gym does that really well. Has a really great community vibe, good brand vibe. I think the other thing that you do well and that I'm really proud of with Obey is embracing the brand and embracing almost a sense of nostalgia. I walk into the strength club and I feel like I'm teleported back to my youth in a way. People say that about Obey too because of all the neon. They say, oh, it feels like an 80s video, or it feels, a little bit 90s or whatever. To other people, it feels like the Drake video, Hotline Bling. But the point is it harkens back to something else. And I think that's really cool, specifically as it relates to fitness and movement and health, because at the end of the day, that's very grounding. I love walking into the strength club and seeing all of the 80s and 90s videos and images of musicians and all that stuff, with Rat or, Megan Thee Stallion playing in the background. I think that vibe matters. You don't always get that at a large gym. No knock on the large gym. I like a large gym too.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I like when I'm traveling, I could go to a big box gym. But yeah, there is something that's just so corporate and dead about a big box gym because they can't really put a kind of their own spin on it. And that's what I like about a smaller gym. When I'm traveling, I look for those smaller kind of boutique hardcore gyms, as they like to call them. But one of the coolest quotes I ever heard is, you don't know how important art is until you need it.
Yeah.
So for somebody building a brand, building out your logo, the way it feels, the way it looks, you mentioned the neon.
Yeah, I mean, and the neon is a derivation from, contemporary art more than it is any kind of like 80s,
But it gives
workout video
people a
reference.
certain feel.
It gives people a feel. I mean, our aesthetic is really rooted in contemporary artists like, Dan Flavin, like James Turrell. It's meant to sort of breathe with the workout, move with the workout, and feel different with the workout. It's meant to spark happiness, especially if you're casting us, onto a big screen, onto a flat screen at home. It's meant to fill that room up with light. It's a great way to start the day. And we took a lot of cues from that set. Our set is a rectangle. It is a box that is essentially a light box, and it changes with each and every part of the workout. It's part of what our control room does in the middle of the workout. They are literally working the lights according to the music. It's not in your face. It's not going to cause an epileptic attack of any kind, although I'm not saying that with any kind of medical cred. But the point is, it's meant to make you feel good. It's meant to make you feel a certain way. So to me, light matters, color matters, and that's informed other parts of our brand too.
Where do you see your brand going next with integration of like AI? Because everybody's like AI.
Yeah.
I still think it's so important for people to move, to create community, to be here. It's like we can have the same conversation over a computer screen, but it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
Clearly.
AI, for us has really been about creating a language model so that we can take a user type, what they're looking for, what they tell us on the way in, right? That onboarding survey, who they are, what they want to do, how they want to move, and how we can match it up with other people like them that have been a success story within our world, who have found the workouts that they want, and how we can help better personalize that journey as a result, right? So the more and more information we have about an individual or types of individuals and the classes they take, the classes that resonate them, the classes that they like, it helps us then deliver a similar style of classes, a similar program that's very personalized to both that user and a new user. And that gets better and better over time. So from an AI perspective, I think we're in early days, but right now it's letting us personalize the journey that much more. So for example, if you came on, we shouldn't be, this is just a hunch, maybe I'm wrong, we shouldn't be serving you dance cardio. I mean, although maybe you love dance cardio and you love a kickball chain, we'll have to look and see.
Maybe every once in a while.
But if that's what we brought you and that's not what you were looking for on day one, you might leave us. You might say, this isn't for me. This isn't what I thought. If we brought you, our gym program that you can do in your home with, weights varying from 15 to 30 pounds, and that's exactly what you wanted, and we knew that based on that language model, we're in a different playing field. So that's where AI has really helped us.
Who have you seen do it really well with the at-home, aside from you?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're doing everything you think.
I think that we from a home base of variety, of personalization, of incredible caliber of workout and talent for everybody, literally everybody. I think we do it best. But I'm a little bit biased.
Yeah, obviously.
You
wouldn't be doing it.
I'm intrigued by companies like Future, companies that have created a scalable personal training product. And again, it helps people stay accountable. It helps people go on a personalized journey. It helps them stay connected. So companies like that, I really like. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there for AI, because in those situations you have, an individual human, which is a little bit more challenging to scale, not so forgiving from a margin perspective on, what the company's earning after all that. I think AI can help as a buffer to, smooth out that communication and probably create some efficiencies along the way, along with that human. So I'm intrigued by that.
There was one, Chris, what was the basketball player's name? The guy from Ryan's buddies with him. Yeah. Steve Nash. So Steve Nash had started an online, Block, I think it was called. Did you hear about that?
I don't know about Block.
Yeah, they were like pushing. They were doing all this stuff, and then they kind of just fell off. I could probably, if I really thought, I could probably think of 2 or 3 other brands. I thought you might have heard of them, but like, where do you think people? I mean, do you think they just kind of gave up on the market, or you know, they saw the writing on the wall and they didn't think it was, you know.
Well, I mean, depending on when Block came out, and I can't speak to them specifically.
Year,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think it's been this is why I'm so happy that, you know, we launched in 2018. I think post-pandemic or middle of pandemic products have had trouble finding traction, right? I mean, it's a super, super populated market. Cost of finding new subscribers is very high. Cost of acquisition is high. There's a lot of streaming services out there in general, whether it is general entertainment or sports or fitness, vying for your attention. There are a lot of other things out there vying for your attention, vying for the attention of your wallet. So I think that a lot of the newer folks coming out without a very specific point of view, point of differentiation. I'm not saying that's Block or not. I know nothing about Block. It's harder to find that traction in this market. We came to the market with a very specific point of view as far as getting people up and moving wherever they are, whoever they are, and really specifically for women too. I mean, we really found an audience in our female demographic, our demographic who is the CEO of her household. And whether that's a household of one or a household of 10, you know, she's got to find time for her health, her family's health. She's making a lot of the health decisions in that household too. And we wanted to really create a place for her to do what she needs to do to live her best life so that she can then go forward in her own professional and personal life as well.
Is that how you came, like, how'd you come up with that avatar? Was that who naturally
that's who naturally gravitated towards the I mean, we have men too, but it's primarily female demographic. I don't think that that's a coincidence, though. I think if you look back to what Ashley and I did in TV, a lot of those markets, a lot of those key demographics were women. You know, if you sold a show to Bravo, Food Network, HGTV, and then you looked at ratings the next day, this old school thing of ratings, what you cared about the most were the female demographic, certain age bracket within the female demographic, because that's who advertisers cared about. Back to that CEO of the household comment, advertisers wanted to reach her because she was deciding if she was buying her daughter Nike cleats or Adidas cleats, and she was deciding if she was buying Bounty paper towels or Seventh Generation, right?
Yeah.
So she's very important, but is also underserved. So she's the one putting everybody else's oxygen masks on, right? The proverbial oxygen mask, and rarely finds the time to put on her own. And that's a really stressful place to be. And so if we can help her find that time to move, to do her thing, to learn, to exert, to get stronger based on her schedule, her needs, her wants, depending on the day, the week, the month, then we're doing our job.
Yeah, no, I think it's super important to actually know who your clientele is and how to service them the best. And one of the important things that I always say is, like, knowing their problems just as important as knowing their wants.
Yep. No, for sure. I mean, my business partner, Ashley, is a great example, right? She's got 3 kids. Like, it's, you know, she very gracefully and flawlessly balances the responsibilities of family life with what we have going on with our work responsibilities. But that's an example of someone who, in between all of it, is like, oh, wait, I also need to work out. I also need to move. I also need to stretch. I also need to breathe. And I think that that's a prime example of where our product sort of fits seamlessly into an individual's life in between work, in between soccer pickup, in between Zoom meetings, in between meetings in the city. And we're really proud of that.
No, it's a stressful thing. I mean, I watch my sister. She's got 4 kids. She goes to the gym every morning at 5 a.m.
Yep.
You know, she has a full-time job. I think that avatar is so important.
Sure.
And like you said, it's underserved because they have so much shit on their plate. So it's very hard to service them.
Totally.
But for guys like us, I mean, I know there's some people out there who are probably watching. They're like, this guy looks incredible.
Oh, come on.
For a 40-plus-year-old.
40-plus.
What is your regimen? And one of the questions that has been such a hot topic for us is, I said, I was filming a video with my buddy the other day after we filmed the podcast. And somebody had asked me, they were like, do you wash your feet in the shower? And I was like, no, I don't think I ever have.
Not really.
Right?
But I have gross feet. So the caveat is, my feet are gross. I haven't worn sandals in
I never
20 years.
I think it's so, I
would offend you.
So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm jealous of, like, guys who can just, like, let it all hang out in their flip flops.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
and most guys have gross feet.
I'm not like a foot person, so I don't even stare at feet. But But for all the feet people out there, you definitely don't want to see mine unless you're a total pervert.
So, but what I had said, because clearly you're obviously more groomed, you take care of yourself.
But not my feet. That's the thing. So that's like the running joke amongst my friends. They're like, Mark, you care so much about your appearance, you're this, you're that. Your feet are disgusting. Like give your feet a little TLC. So do I wash them? How about this? I don't not wash them.
Yeah.
I'm just not like sitting on a bench in the shower with a brush.
Thank you.
And a bar of dial and some cuticle clippers trying to figure it out.
I had made the mistake and the guy who asked me was a gay guy. And I was like, well, you're really well groomed. You take better care of yourself than I do. I was like, that's why you wash your feet.
Oh, so he's the foot washer.
Yeah. And he's the type, and he's like, yeah, of course I wash my feet. I'm like, I don't. And then I've been surveying people who come into the gym, guys, girls. Every girl's like, I wash my feet. Some of the guys who said yes happen to be gay guys. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, clearly you take way better care of yourself.
So what's the reaction when you ask people if they wash their feet?
Most guys, right? Doesn't matter what their whatever they are, background or whatever. Most guys are like, well, the water kind of runs down and goes in between my toes.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's how I feel. That's what I said.
But if I were back to big box gyms, if I were at a gym and I were to have to go take a shower.
Yeah. That's probably the only time I wear sandals.
And I didn't have sandals, it would be on my mind.
Yeah.
That would gross me out. By the way, I feel bad for the person who gets in the shower after me because of my gross feet.
Well, maybe
I shouldn't care.
I was at the bathhouse the other night and I had lost.
I haven't heard that in a while. Okay.
And I was like, I got to go get a pair of sandals because I can't walk around here barefoot. My feet are.
Who walks around a bathhouse without sandals?
No, but everybody's like, oh, you don't wash your feet. I'm like, listen, I am conscious of where I'm walking, and I tell her all the time. I go, you're fucking gross because she'll walk around the city with just sandals on. I go,
I would. Yeah, but I wouldn't walk.
I would not walk.
Yeah, but I wouldn't walk around the city with sandals.
Thank you.
That's weird too.
It's so gross. She also Christy also doesn't like using baby wipes. I'm a big baby wipe guy. I can't wipe my ass without baby wipes.
I'm not a baby wipe person.
No.
And I care deeply about cleanliness, but I'm not a baby wipe person.
Really?
Women are not baby white people.
Because you guys don't have hair on your ass, or shouldn't.
I think that they smell weird, a lot of them. The baby wipes. Yeah, I think they smell weird. And I feel like they're not supposed to, making this up, but enter like the general plumbing sewer system.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
I think that
you got to get the flushable ones. I carry them around in my bag. Yeah.
Got it.
I'm just worried about my ass.
So that's what you ask people on the podcast, if they wash their feet and if they use a baby wipe.
Yeah.
But you got like a cleanliness thing.
Yeah, I do and I don't.
Or you don't. Yeah, but you got a fixation.
I'm the type of guy, I go to the shower. If I take a shower, especially after like jujitsu or something, yes, I have to get off. It's like gross. 8 different people are sweating all over me.
Yep.
But I'm like, I'm still the most important thing. I got to wash my junk and I got to wash underneath my arms and my ass. Other than that, I really didn't touch my feet.
Yeah.
But like we were talking.
So this is controversial.
You have fucking great hair. You have great hair.
You know, I'm looking up at the hair's a little.
Come on, buddy.
The hair's a little greasy right now, but thank you.
No, it looks good.
So no. I wash my, yes, I wash my hair.
Me and you have talked about this a couple times.
I wash my hair like.
Once a month.
No, once a week.
Really?
But
with shampoo.
That's kind of gross. Yeah. I mean, it gets wet every day. I take 2 showers a day. Like this is non-negotiable. I take 2 showers a day. I love a long, hot shower.
Me
which
too.
is not great for your skin. But I don't use shampoo and conditioner on those shower trips. It's once a week.
Yeah. No,
I like
the same
oil.
way. We talked about this.
Yeah, weighs your hair down like a good way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little too greasy. But if I wash it every day, it's frizzy.
It gets dry. Yeah, it looks like shitty.
It's creepy.
So now do you have a skin regimen? Because you were just talking about
my skin. Not real. I'm not a sun person. I don't go in the sun. I wear sunblock every day. I use a moisturizer that I've used forever by like SkinCeuticals. That's it. I think putting all this stuff on your skin is a little bit
overdone.
Yeah, I think it's a little snake oily. I don't think it's real. Yeah. I think there's probably some good products that can be helpful, but I think a little moisturizer without too many chemicals in it, some SPF, and you call it a day.
I see so many people who have the worst skin who are like, yeah, but I wash my face. I'm like, stop washing your face.
Well, yeah, I wash my face in a really specific and weird way. I wash my face only around the nose and at the temples. That's just my own weird thing. Didn't come from a doctor. That's what I do. If I wash my
It looks like
entire
it's
face,
fucking working.
thank you.
My
if
face
I
looks
wash
like an
my
old
entire
salve.
face, it gets red, pink. It like strips everything down. So I've had a couple people in that world say, calm down on washing your face. You really don't need to do it.
Yeah, no, I think whatever the fuck you're doing, keep
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah.
And I see my dermatologist once in a while
Okay.
for a little check-in.
And now how often do you see your regular doctor? Did I set you up with my doctor?
We spoke on the phone. I have this other doctor, so I'm gonna stick with them for a little while. But she was really
She's
good,
awesome.
really interesting. I see my regular doctor, I think like twice a year. Physical
do the
blood
blood
work.
work?
Yeah, I do blood work with a different doctor 4 times a year.
And how's it your blood work?
It's good. I mean,
Because they
it's
say
good.
there's a huge drop off. I just saw this thing the other day and it was freaking me.
What do you age the most at age 44?
Yes.
I know.
Oh my God. Are we both
my
getting served
radar.
the same
It's
shit?
on my radar.
Talking about that too.
Yeah.
It's like 60 and 44. No,
Yes.
I know. It gave me
Yes.
something to panic about. Totally.
It was such a kick in
Yeah.
the dick for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
what, do I only have 2 years left?
Kick in
3
the
years?
dick. Yeah, I felt that way when I turned 39, 40. I felt like everything changed. And maybe that was just running a business. Like I look at pictures of when we started the company and I look at pictures now and I'm like, what has happened here? But the 44 thing freaked me out.
Yep.
The blood work thing, every time I get it taken, it's a sheer panic waiting for the results. Because that's where they find, the stuff that you don't want
Yes.
to hear.
But now
okay?
we're at that
But it's
age where
important.
it's critical.
important. Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't worry about that shit. You're 25, 30,
Yeah.
even 35.
Yeah.
And you get to 40 and you're like, oh, holy shit. Like
Yep.
shit's really happening.
Yeah.
And one of the things I noticed within the last 6 months was I'm out of a restaurant. I think me and her were out one night and I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, fuck, I can't see the goddamn menu.
Yeah.
So now I got my phone out and now I'm like, I look like my father. I'm
Oh yeah,
trying
you've
to
got
hold
like the
it.
flashlight on your phone. Oh,
But now it's been like that.
God bless Kenny. Yeah, no, but listen, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Who's that dude who's like biohacked his way into, he's like 50 going on 23 or
but
whatever.
He looks like shit. He looks
that's
like a
not-
vampire or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, he is a little like see-through.
Yeah.
But who wants to live that way either?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Who wants to live that way
Now
either?
you're doing too much shit. Now it's interfering with you actually living a better life.
The thing that has changed the most for me is I used to be able to go out at night, go to dinner, have drinks, whatever, and sleep like a baby. And now if I go out to dinner and I have a couple of drinks, there's no sleep. Between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., I'm up, I'm panicked.
Yeah.
I cannot meditate my way or manifest my way into a sleep. It's a problem. So I think the lifestyle habits need to change as you get older.
For sure. Yeah, no, you definitely feel it. Well, listen, Mark, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
It was an absolute
Thank you.
pleasure. You have some great insights. I'm so glad you guys got to hear them. Where could everybody check you out and find out everything more about Obey?
Yeah, so we're at obeyfitness.com or check us out in the App Store, Apple or Android. OBE, it's an acronym for Our Body Electric, so OBE Fitness. And I'm on Instagram, not that you want to follow, but the Mark Mullett on Instagram. And
I mean, who doesn't want to follow another
There's not
handsome
much
guy
to
on the
say.
internet?
Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things, and I hope to see you guys again very soon.